Hello everyone, welcome to my gaming update, episode 3. Now, I haven't done a video in a very long time since there are going to be a lot of games that I have to talk about. They're all strategically placed though, so that I can get into the games that I've talked about before, games that I've played, games that I have bought and have not had a chance to play yet. So, before we get on with that, I would just like to say that I think I have hit a milestone in YouTube because somebody posted a rant about me. How can you tell that you're kind of on the way to making it in YouTube? Is when people start hating on you. That's exactly what this kid does. He hates the hell out of me. He watched one of my videos where I talk about greatest hits and platinum hits. It's called my video game rant episode 1. And if you've seen it, I talk about greatest hits, and I don't like greatest hits cases because you want the original, as a collector, you want the original case that it came in and not the greatest hits that came out years later. So anyway, this kid was like, bah, I totally disagree with what you're saying, and you're an idiot. I think you're an idiot, so I should post a video about how much of an idiot you are. And that's exactly what he does. I think that's what he does. He seems to go after other YouTubers, and he'll break apart one of their scenes, and then kind of say, you're doing this wrong, and why are you doing this? And he'll kind of make fun of them. So that's what he kind of does to me, but this is the first time that he ever does an actual episode format, so he reviews my entire video. So I found that so flattering. He's like, video response, what's this? And I watched it and I was so entertained by it and I was so flattered that I was like, accepted. That is now an official video response to that video that I made. And I commented on it and I liked it. I didn't subscribe to the guy, but I mean, I'm like, no, totally, go right ahead. This is awesome. Continue doing what you're doing. So what he does is he just breaks up my video into pieces so that he can talk about one scene, and he'll show you my scene, and then he'll talk about how much of an idiot I am and how wrong I was. Once in a while he would agree with me, but it was few and far between, so it was a rare thing for him to agree with you. But I mean, honestly, who could completely disagree with me the entire time? I mean, I had some very strong arguments. So anyway, if you have 12 minutes to waste or you just want to skim through, I'll provide the link below if you want to check it out. Maybe if you want to check it out now before you get into the gaming update. If not, let's get right on to the gaming update because it's going to be a long one. Okay, Pilotwings Resort. I played a few hours of this before when I did my first gaming update. I've now beat the game in terms of I played through all the levels and I got at least 1 star for each of the levels, so I at least completed them. Then after that you can go back and play all the missions over again and try to get 3 stars, which is a perfect rating. It's very difficult and it takes sometimes a course might only take a minute or 2, but you'll see yourself playing for at least half an hour, maybe 45 minutes to finally get that 3 stars. So there's a lot of replayability in this game. And it's not exactly frustrating, but once you've completed that course, you're like, man, I'm done. I'm so satisfied. I'm done playing this game for today. I'm gonna go play something else, which is perfectly fine because that's what the 3DS is for, and it's not like this 3DS battery is gonna last you forever anyway. So I'm glad to say that I have all 3 stars on everything, and I was like, yes, second credits, I completed the game. And then they're like, no, you have 3 more missions to do in Diamond. I was like, God damn it. So as far as I'm concerned, I've seen credits twice now. This game is beat, not complete, but I will get around to beating those 3 last missions eventually, but I don't even want to look at how scary they are because one of them is in a jet and the other one's just going to be very difficult. So anyway, that's Pilotwings Resort. Awesome game. If you do not have it, definitely pick it up for the 3DS. It's a lot better than I expected, and it's a very leisurely, calming, flying through the air game. Okay, the other game is Record of Aragon War 0. This is the RPG that I talked about last time. I was about 10 hours in. I'm a few more hours in now. I'm not at 20 hours yet, but I'm getting close to the 20-hour mark. And what I'd like to talk about this time around is that I didn't really talk about how the fighting system goes. For one thing, I'll explain how the game works. You go around on a world map and you go from one area to the next and you fight battles. And whenever you get into a city or a place where you would have a cutscene, it doesn't go to a cutscene, it goes to a picture of the character, and then you'll have text to read, which is normal for RPGs. You always have text to read, but it's only in the background of the area that you're in, plus the character's picture. So it kind of sucks that you don't have a movable character to walk around in a world in the cities to kind of check these places out. That's one of the downsides of the game, but one of the positives of the game is the battle system. It kind of plays like a chess game, so you have to place your characters in a certain area, and every turn before you start battling, you can move them. And the thing is that you try to move them in certain areas so that they're all placed in a certain area that's all good for them. You can tell that they're all linked when they go into these areas. And then once you're all linked, then when it's time to battle, once it's the first person's turn to battle, you can all hit your moves at the same time and get damage bonuses. And it just makes a really interesting RPG battle that I think is pretty cool. So if that sounds interesting to you, I would suggest looking at a gameplay of the game and then maybe going from there. And if you're okay with just, you know, the story's there, but you don't see a lot of cutscenes. So if you're okay with that, maybe Aragon War 0 is for you. Okay, another game that I've been playing a load of, Halo Reach. I'm still playing a crap load of this, still love it. I'm not as addicted as I was when I first started playing the multiplayer, but still super fun game. The other one that I went back to is StarCraft 2, and I have noticed that taking a few months off was not a good idea because now I completely suck and I have no idea what kind of strategies I should be using. Still very, very fun, still very, very rewarding when you beat somebody. But I definitely need to look at more gaming strategies for StarCraft 2. It's the best RTS out there, and it's always evolving, and I just need some time to at least play 2 hours a day, and then I could probably get back into my groove, but I don't see that happening, especially with the fall season that just started. Okay, now let's go on to some new games that I picked up. I recently picked up PSP, and the only game that I played so far was The Sims 2. I know, what the hell was I thinking? Of all the games I could have picked, I picked The Sims 2 to play the first. I only played about an hour. It's not the same addicting PC game of The Sims. It's kind of different. You kind of have to do a lot more talking in the game. You didn't talk in The Sims. You actually have storylines where you go from one area to the next and you have to talk. So you're always going into, you don't really have a house. Well, I'm only an hour in. But you have to get your car fixed and you have to go to the next town and you talk to people and you kind of have quests to do. It's like, what? That's not The Sims. I know. But it's still kind of fun, just not super addicting as the real life Sims that we're all accustomed to. So I can't say I would really recommend it, but I wouldn't say don't look at it if you really like The Sims and you kind of like doing quests and talking to people in a Sims type world. Okay, Starfox 64 3D. You have a 3DS, pick this game up. This is by far my favorite 3DS game. I haven't played Zelda yet, but out of all the 3DS games, this is by far my favorite. It plays exactly like the 64 version does, but it just has updated graphics, and it's so nice. With the 3DS, you can play with 3D the entire time, and it looks beautiful. As long as you're not using the gyro, because the gyro doesn't really work. If you're just using the regular controller, perfectly fine with a 3D on the entire time. It looks really nice with it. The only bad thing I would like to say about this game is that they don't have the original voices from the 64 version. I don't know how they didn't get the rights to that, considering the voices were already there. I don't know if they just didn't want to pay the actors that. But it's not the same when you hear, you know, do a barrel roll, or Slippy in trouble, or even Falco like yelling at you. It's just not the same. They're kind of similar, but kind of not. It's just not the exact same thing, but that's the only bad thing about this game. So if you liked Star Fox, definitely pick this up for the 3DS. Okay, another 3DS game that I picked up was Super Monkey Ball 3D. I know, I probably shouldn't have picked it up. It's not bad. It only probably takes about an hour. There's about 70 levels, but the first few levels I was like, oh my god, that took me 5 seconds to do. Seriously, 5 seconds. It has a timer, and it took me 5 seconds for the first few missions to do. But it eventually gets a little bit more difficult. Still haven't beat the game yet though, even though it would only take me about an hour. I only played maybe half an hour. I played like 15 minutes and then another 15 minutes, because that's kind of all you want to do with this game. You just want to play a little bit, which is fine for the 3DS. That's how I want to play my 3DS. I only want to play little short sessions. It's okay. Not epic, not terrible, but it's out of all my 3DS games, this is the one that I don't go to the most, and it's not going to be a very long game anyway, so I wouldn't really recommend it, but I got it on a deal for 20 bucks. It's kind of worth it at that price. If you can get it for that price or lower, maybe check it out. Okay, Dark Souls just came out on October 4th. And I would like to say a lot of impressions for it, but I only got to play it for about 2 hours before my brother saw it, and he asked if he could borrow it, and he became addicted. I watched him play for a lot longer. He played for about 4 hours or something like that. And from what I gather from what I've played, you die a lot. But it's not an absurd amount yet. From the 2 hours that I played, I wasn't frustrated. When I would die, I'd be like, okay, that's awesome, I'm gonna try something else, or I'm gonna go do something else. You can die just from like 2 skeletons attacking you at the same time. Skeletons, yeah, they're the easiest guys, but if they gang up on you, you're dead. You can die from like anything in this game. But it doesn't frustrate you, but I assume later on in the game it will. Because my brother, when he was playing, he got to areas where he would have to do over and over and over and over again, and I could see that it was starting to frustrate him a little bit, and I was even becoming frustrated. My mom came in and she's like, oh, you died! It was just hilarious how that happened. But anyway, if you don't mind dying and you want a hardcore type of game and you've played Demon's Souls, which was on the PS3 that came out 2 years ago, this is the spiritual sequel. Kind of plays like that. It's like a third person. Kind of plays like Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion if you haven't played Demon's Souls. So it's just like a medieval guy. You're going around, you're hacking at things, but the bosses are crazy hard. And I remember fighting the first boss in the game with a broken sword, because that's the only weapon I had. I'm like, oh yeah, that's great, bring it on. So I'm just like running around and I'm trying to kill him. He just destroys me. Like in 2 shots I think it was, and I was dead. I found out that you're supposed to run away from him and then battle him later on. But still, it's an interesting game, to say the least. Okay, El Shaddai, Ascension of the Metatron. I picked this game up because it was one of the few games in the summer that seemed kind of interesting. Kind of plays like Devil May Cry, but definitely not even as close to being as good. It's an artsy game, so if you're really into art type of games, maybe take a look at what the game has to offer. But this is by far the worst 2011 game that I have played on any system. I'm just not motivated to play the game. I'm a few hours in. It's about religion. You start off as like an angel, I think, that goes down to Earth to fight a bunch of archangels that have gone wrong. And you're actually with Lucifer, who's telling you what to do, and he's talking on a cell phone. It's really weird. I'm just not digging the story, and then playing it, you're just playing a hack and slash, but you have 3 different weapons that you can use throughout the game, and you have to figure out which works best against which enemy. It's not my type of game. I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe if you can get it cheap and you really like artsy type games, then pick it up, but if not, stay away from El Shaddai. My brother calls it El Shitty. That's his nickname for it. Why is Mario Kart here? Okay, whatever. Mario Kart. Had this game when it first came out. I think the first week I got it, but I sold my Wii and I sold Mario Kart with it as well, because when you buy a new Wii, you get Mario Kart as well. So I'm not going to have 2 Mario Karts. So and when I first played it, I only played multiplayer with my friends. I played numerous hours. I'm talking like, 200 hours or something like that on Mario Kart Wii, just with friends. But I never really tried to beat the game, so now I'm trying to beat the 50cc, the 100cc, and the 150cc on my new Wii. It's fun. It's Mario Kart. If you like silly racing, go for Mario Kart. It's the best type of silly racing that there is that I've played. Okay, another recent pickup for myself was Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the special edition. And actually, during my unboxing, I was kind of upset with Hulk and Wolverine only getting a small area for the case, but I didn't even look at the back of the case during my unboxing, where Hulk is right there and Wolverine is like the biggest character in the back, and that's why they weren't huge in the front. So there you have it. My unboxing is complete now that you have seen the back. Yes, I feel good. So it is an awesome game. I normally don't like fighting games, but this is very fast-paced, and you have 3 characters that you use to fight another 3 characters, so it's not like in Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat where you have 1 character and you battle 3 times, best 2 out of 3. This, you have 3 characters and you have to kill all 3 characters, or your 3 characters have to die before the battle ends, right? I usually always use Hulk and Wolverine, because Hulk is like my favorite. He's just so awesome. And Wolverine, I play I play him very well. Now, I haven't played any of the Marvel vs. Capcom games from before this, so 1 and 2 I have not touched, but I did play a Marvel game that was very similar, and Wolverine plays almost identical to it. And the graphics are very nice, they're very nice in 3D, but Street Fighter 4 I think is a good example of where 3D looks nice on cartoon characters. I like it more on Street Fighter 4, but for this type of game, I like my comic book characters still being cartoon like the old games that they used to have. It still looks very nice, but I think I prefer them the other way. Okay, so that's Marvel vs. Capcom 3. If you like fighting games and fast-paced fighting games, definitely check it out. The amount of combos that you will hit by accident are ridiculous. And it's so good because I'm not a good player. Okay, I also played Black Ops Call of Duty. I have it on the 360. I put in like 50 hours. And now I've played about 10 hours on the PS3. And I have to say that I am more comfortable with the Xbox 360 controller. However, I play better with the PS3 version. I'm now finally starting to get really good at it. And I don't know if it's just easier people on the PS3 or I'm just that much better with the PS3 controller. But I'm always the first or second best on my team. And the 360 version, it wasn't the case. Once in a while I would be second, but rarely was I ever first, and usually I wouldn't be doing that well. But for some reason I'm just that much better on the PS3. Maybe I'm just 6 months older and I've aged as a gamer. I don't know. But it still looks just as nice. Maybe I can't tell which one looks nicer because I didn't do a comparison like that, but it still just looks as nice at least as the 360 version. And I just for some reason play better on this one. Okay. Gears of War 3 just came out, so I had to play Gears of War 2 because I beat the first one, loved it. One of my favorite third-person single-player campaigns. And then Gears of War 2, still very epic, very awesome. Not as good as the first. I think the first just had a better atmosphere, a better storyline, and a better setting for each act. Whereas this one, it was kind of like we're going down to the ground where the locusts are, and then we're going back up, and then we're going back down. It was just kind of back and forth, and you just didn't get a very good sense of where the heck you were going and the areas, and you just didn't get that much character interaction as well either. There was a thing with one of the characters and his wife. He was trying to find his wife. It just wasn't that interesting. But still very, very fun. If you like the Gears of War series, you can pick up Gears of War 1, 2, and a bunch of map packs all together on one disc for like 30 bucks or something, and sometimes they're on sale for even 20. So definitely pick them up if you like Gears of War. Okay, now we're on to Resistance 1 and 2. Loved Resistance 1. It took me about 10 or 11 hours to beat it, and I played about an hour online. The online, I would pass. It's not that fun. Is this Resistance 1? No, this is Resistance 1. Resistance 1, yeah. So the first-person campaign, third-person, Gears of War is third-person, so I don't count it as a first-person campaign. First-person type games, I haven't had that much fun with a first-person type campaign in a long time. I'm talking years. It's even better than Call of Duty 4. It's either just as good or might be better. I haven't played Call of Duty 4 since it came out a few years ago, so it's still one of the best campaigns that I've ever played in a first person, and it's 10 to 11 hours, so it is a very long one. Resistance 2, I only got to play a few hours of the campaign. I'm maybe about halfway. I'm not enjoying it as much, but it still has that Resistance feel to it, and I haven't touched the multiplayer yet. So that brings me to Resistance 3. Because I didn't beat the single player in Resistance 2, I haven't touched the single player in Resistance 3, which kind of sucks for my review, because I'm sure a lot of you are watching this and want to know what I think about new games. So, didn't get to try that out, but the multiplayer, so fun. If you want something different than Call of Duty, because you're so used to Call of Duty, or, you know, first-person type games, try out Resistance 3. It's super fun. It kind of still plays like a regular first-person shooter like Call of Duty, but there's upgrades. But that's not even why I like it. It's just so different and refreshing, and the maps are just cool. It's very hard to describe, but multiplayer, definitely awesome. If you like multiplayer first-person games, pick it up. It's a beautiful looking game as well. It looks a lot better than Resistance 1 and 2. Gears of War 3, another very good looking game, but because that I just beat Gears of War 2, I'm only a few hours into the Gears of War 3 campaign. At least I've tried it. I'm still undecided on where I like it on the scale of, is it better than 1 or is it not as good as 1? Is it better than 2? I don't know yet. But I'm having fun with it. It still feels just as epic as the other two though. That much I can guarantee. And the multiplayer, this is the first time I ever tried multiplayer for a Gears of War game. I like it, but it's a game where, because it's third person, and as a Gears of War game, you have to hide a lot and kind of be, not crouching, but you're always going up against things and kind of shooting from the side. It's kind of fun in that aspect, and that's the type of game where you like to, hide behind things and then go out and shoot and kind of not run around everywhere trying to shoot stuff. This might be your kind of a multiplayer game. If you just like first person shooters running around and shooting stuff, then I would suggest Resistance 3. I, at the moment, think in terms of multiplayer, I prefer Resistance 3. So if you're undecided on which game you would like to get and you have both systems, Resistance 3, but I'm just talking about multiplayer. Single player, I have no idea, except for Gears of War 3, which is very enjoyable, but I don't know it compared to Resistance 3 because I have not tried it yet. Okay, so that's all the games that I have played. Now I'm just going to go quickly over the games that I picked up recently and haven't had a chance to play. I picked up Croc 2 because the first game that I ever got for my PS1 was Croc Legend of the Gobos. I loved Croc so much, so I wanted to try out the second one. Haven't tried it out yet. Metal Gear Solid, of course I'm going to have to go out and buy this. Never played it before, and I want to get into it. The only Metal Gear game I've ever played was Metal Gear 2, and I loved it. Didn't get to beat it because it was a rental, but I very much enjoyed it, and that's why I got Metal Gear. Okay, the next two are Twisted Metal and Twisted Metal 3. I have played Twisted Metal 1 and 2. I never owned them though, and I wanted to get into them before the new Twisted Metal comes out for the PS3, but it got delayed for next year, so I haven't touched them yet. Okay, now we're going to go on to the PSP games. I bought like 5 of them. I only played The Sims 2. I don't know why that was the one I decided to play with. But here is Daxter, I got for 10 bucks. This is from Jack and Daxter. This is Daxter, a standalone single player campaign that he has. Final Fantasy, the first one ever. Tactics Ogre, this came out this year and it is apparently the best RPG that came out this year and possibly the best PSP game as well. I really want to get into that soon. And I also picked up Pixel Junk Monsters Deluxe, which is kind of like a tower defense. And this is probably going to be the next game that I play for the PSP. Okay, I picked up a bunch of PS3 games. Heavy Rain, God of War 3, Warhawk, and Lair. I know Lair apparently is a horrible game, but for 9 bucks I couldn't really go wrong because I can't resist sales. Okay, another 2 Wii games. There is Kirby's Epic Yarn. I got it for 10 bucks when I bought my Nintendo Wii. It was a sale that they were having, so it's brand new, still sealed. And I also got Little King Story, also for $10, that I want to try very soon. And last but not least, I got Perfect Dark Zero for the Xbox 360. This was a launch game when it first came out. It's the limited edition. I got it for under 20 bucks, still sealed. I loved the first one, and that's why I got it. So there you have my gaming update, episode 3. I will not wait until it gets this ridiculous again, and hopefully next time around I'll be able to talk a lot more about all the games that I've played and have better impressions on them, especially for the new games that are coming out in fall, because I know November, my wallet is gonna hate me. So thank you all for watching. Goodbye everyone. I hope this wasn't too long. Let's check to see the time, 23 goddamn minutes. Oh, that's not good.